Did you hear about the midnight raid in South Shore in Chicago? Here's what just happened and why this matters to you. Are you ready? Let's go. So last night in Chicago's South Shore, federal agents, ICE, swarmed a residential building. Did y'all hear about this? Okay. Now, this was in the dark of early morning that this happened, and the operation actually left these black folks, these residents, traumatized. Because wouldn't you be? Yeah. So questioning constitutional boundaries was absolutely what happened, and demanding accountability is the next thing. So voices from the ground, and what we should be watching for is what we're getting ready to go over right now. You ready? If you're not, go ahead and scroll on now, because a lot of y'all like to argue and stuff and say that we're lying and we're making this up. But baby, this was reported on by their local news. So the raid took place around 75th and South Shore Drive, according to DHS. There were 37 arrests that were made, with the CBP, the FBI, and the ATF that was involved. Now, their media confirms that U.S. citizens were among those that were detained, though temporarily. Now, residents report agents asking names, birth dates, and demands of warrants, even unrelated ones. There is actual video of people in zip ties being led to a nearby school lot at 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, witnesses have actually described tear gas, flashbangs, property destruction, and van transports segregating black people from immigrants. Now, here's what some of the folks that were there actually said. They just treated us like we were nothing. It was scary because I had never had a gun in my face. They asked, "Do you have any warrants?" I told them, no, I didn't. They're like piling us all up. It wasn't no room to move anywhere. They was terrified. The kids was crying. They had them zip tied together. One of them literally laughed and said, "Fuck them kids." They had big 15-inch chainsaws cutting the fence down. They had the black people in one van and the immigrants in another. I was placed in a plastic zip tie handcuffs and detained for nearly 2 hours. Once I went into the hallway, they put us in the plastic wristband thingies. They just took our information. Someone else said, "I don't like how they did it because us Americans, we didn't have anything to do with them." Now, these aren't isolated testimonies, folks. These are a painted pattern of mass detentions, indiscriminate treatment, and fear in a black neighborhood with Americans. Okay. So here are the constitutional concerns. The raid raises urgent Fourth Amendment questions: search, seizure, warrants, detaining U.S. citizens under suspicion of immigration violations or unrelated warrants erodes legal protections. Number one, racial and community impact. So South Shore is predominantly a black neighborhood. So this kind of forceful nighttime raid, sweeping entire buildings, fuels distrust, trauma, and the question, who is being policed? But we don't need to ask that question, because what were you doing there anyway? You already knew. Transparency and accountability. DHS, ICE, they've made statements but have not released full arrest records or evidence backing gang affiliation claims. Communities deserve clarity. But in this case, no one cares until it's your neighborhood. Precedent and ripple effect. If allowed unchecked, this kind of tactic may expand into other vulnerable neighborhoods across the country. So here's the question. You ready? Is ICE or DHS publishing detailed warrants or arrest justifications? Which detainees are being charged and for what? Do we know? What legal challenges are going to follow? Will constitutional rights be asserted in court? How will community leaders respond? protests, legal suits, public pressure. We're going to see about that too. And what federal oversight or local pushback will emerge from this? Because the question is if you're doing this in one Black community, oh, baby, listen, this is just the beginning. So what's your call to action? Share this information, look for answers, continue to keep your ear to the street, and demand answers from your elected officials in your community. Find out how protected you are and learn and understand exactly what that amendment says. And what is that? The Fourth Amendment, folks. Let's not get beside ourselves and not do the research or the due diligence that is necessary. It is the Fourth Amendment. Because see, when your neighbors are terrorized in the middle of the night, silence is complicity. Are you complicit? Hope not. For more news and information that you can always use, head over to brownstoneworldwide.com, Cityscape Radio, and you guessed it, Brownstone Living Magazine. We'll see you around.
Donald Trump intends to use the United States military against American citizens who simply disagree with him. People he calls, quote, the enemy from within. America, this is not a candidate for president who is thinking about how to make your life better. This is someone who is unstable, obsessed with revenge, consumed with grievance, and out for unchecked power.
We're not living through normal times right now, and media needs to call it out because we cannot normalize the behavior we're seeing from this White House, from ICE, from the Department of Defense, from the Department of Homeland Security. Children are literally being zip-tied, ripped away from their mothers, U.S. citizen children being detained in Chicago. The White House is literally deploying American troops against American citizens in cities across the country, from Portland to D.C. to Memphis and now potentially Chicago. But if that's not all, it's not just the National Guard. The White House is considering sending in a highly elite Army infantry division into Portland to quell protests. Donald Trump is telling the military to conduct arrests if there is flag burning, arrests they cannot do. That is illegal. These are not normal times, and we cannot report on this as though it is normal. If we do, it will only get worse. We cannot normalize this. I won't ever, so make sure to subscribe to support my work at my Substack, linked in bio. Follow along for more.
Imagine there's a rumor that ICE agents are in your neighborhood right now trying to arrest people, trying to take away Black Americans in your neighborhood. It may not be confirmed, but let's ask the deeper question. All right? What if it's true? Just like it happened a few days ago in Chicago. What if Black Americans, citizens, start being treated like immigrants? What if ICE began deporting us like we don't belong to the very country we built? We built America, but still treated like foreigners. That is what it means. Black Americans are not visitors. We are not guests. We are not temporary. We are born here, raised here, and this country was built on our backs. Yet we are still treated like outsiders, from police brutality to surveillance to profiling to exclusions. It's already happening in subtle ways. If ICE, an agency meant for immigration enforcement, starts arresting Black citizens, that means citizenship is nothing. It means the system doesn't care where you were born, just what your color is. That's what it cares. That's terrifying. That's fascism. And it's not far-fetched. When you look at the American history, it's been like this. Let's watch these videos, right? And then I'll be back. This is really, it's hurting, but let's just watch these videos.
This mass deportation bringing out the racism in a lot of y'all immigrants. You know that? I didn't know that y'all was racist like that. I really didn't. I'm talking about like y'all saying things like, oh, well, y'all next. I'm talking about Black people, we next. I'm going to deport y'all to Africa next. And okay. But as long as y'all made it seem like white people was just the most racist people in this country, oh no. Y'all take the motherfucking cake. I find it kind of hard to believe, especially considering Had it not been for my ancestors, immigrants wouldn't even be allowed over in this country. You know, civil rights and whatnot. Most of us already knew that Trump, he knew exactly what he was doing, when he was going to bring 14th Amendment and birthright citizenship to the Supreme Court. He knew it was going to get blocked. What's even more interesting is how they'll finally figure out what exactly it meant and who it was for. And oh, when they do, all of you racist people who have just been completely disrespectful to us because you're getting deported, you're going to wish you would have been nicer to us when you were here.
You know, I was thinking something today, and I bet a lot of immigrants laugh at a lot of black Americans.
Alright y'all, so if y'all haven't watched this video, I know it's going to be hard to watch, but please go watch it. Because here's actually the textbook example of how you can be black and still be anti-black. But let's get something clear out the gate. If it wasn't for black people fighting the way that we fight or complaining, as you say, none of these immigrant groups would have the things that they have today. But you know something that I've never been able to understand? How is it that the group of people who worked for free for centuries somehow gets called lazy? Because immediately after slavery, during Reconstruction, we started getting elected to offices. We started getting into these schools. We started our own businesses. We started all of these things that you're propping up these other groups for doing. And what happened? We had it all taken away from us. But then after they did all of that, they made it to where we couldn't go to schools and get a good education. They made it to where we couldn't get jobs because we're black. They made it to where we couldn't go and buy homes with good property values and pass on some wealth to our children. Like, do you really think that the majority of black people are just out here sitting on our asses? But let's go back to this immigrant thing. They're able to get these jobs because of equal opportunity laws that we fought for. They're able to get into these schools because of movements that we started and maintained. But after watching this video and several other videos that you had, I think you one of them people that don't want to be black.
What's going to go far enough to trigger a mainstream resistance to ICE and authoritarianism? Because if this isn't it, I don't know what is. ICE dragged innocent children naked out of their homes and into the streets in Chicago under the spotlights of Black Hawk military helicopters. So let me be clear, our tax dollars are paying for masked men to inflict permanent trauma on innocent children in our communities. If you claim to care about children, to be a person of faith, or to have any ethics or values at all, this is unjustifiable. So what would resistance actually look like? It makes me think of the United States just before the Civil War when the Fugitive Slave Act was law. During that period of time, it was legal for slave catchers to travel to northern states, kidnap black people, and drag them into slavery without due process rights. That should sound kind of familiar, as federal ICE agents are being sent into sanctuary states and cities to kidnap community members with very few due process rights. During the era of the Fugitive Slave Act, entire communities fought back. When it became unsafe for their neighbors to go to work, they would feed them, clothe them, and support them with community aid. They had watch squads for unwelcome agents. They would surround the homes of vulnerable community members. They would physically fight off agents who were trying to kidnap their neighbors. When they were serving on a jury for the trial of someone in their community being charged with assaulting an agent, they would all refuse to convict, regardless of how strong the case was. My point is, there are things that we can do to support our vulnerable community members, and if they are going to face these kinds of crimes against humanity, then it is long past time that we do it.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I hope you saw those videos, right? So we are just imagining if these things become real. We are not praying it becomes real. We know it won't be real, right? But do not forget, Kamala Harris warned that this man is coming brutally, like he's coming to do things to citizens, right? Now, I begin to think, how would they want to take Black Americans away from America? People who built the country, people who have the music, people who have the whole fashion sense and all of that. In fact, the people with the culture of America today. Imagine them, like, have you imagined it before? This will not be funny, right? But the thing is, we have to be smart. We have to wake up and we have to be watchful. Whether it's true or not, the fact that we can even imagine ICE targeting Black Americans tells you everything. We are not paramount. We are not paranoid. We're not angry at all. We are prepared. This isn't just about immigration. It's about control, and we will not be erased. Black Americans belongs here. We built this place, and we are not going anywhere. I want to see you say that in the comments, right? I want to hear your opinions in the comments. We have to do videos like this. We have to keep doing videos like this. It's in the Bible that faith comes by hearing and hearing and hearing. If we keep doing videos like this all the time, don't mind it's been like it's repetitive. It will get to their sense that these people know what they're doing. And as a Black American, try to share videos like this. So when they know that people are doing these things, they will always come to their consciousness. Oh, these people is like, So always share these videos and make sure it goes viral as well. So do not forget, it's Global Gist with Beejay, your sister, your friend. I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.